Hi, and welcome back to another segment with the shortsaleminute.com. Today we want to start diving into some of the details of the loss mitigation process. There is a lot of misinformation, a lot of confusion. There's a lot of industry buzzwords that seem to get used interchangeably or seem to get used inappropriately. And so one of our goals today is to help you understand more clearly what that process looks like and what some of those terms really mean. So what is loss mitigation? Loss mitigation is generally one of five things. It's either a loan modification, a deed in lieu, cash for keys, a short sale, or a foreclosure. So those are essentially the items that are part of loss mitigation.
And while Nick talked about those parts of loss mitigation, I think there's really only a few that are kind of prevalent in today's marketplace. That would be either a short sale or a foreclosure, walking away. And while loan mods get a lot of attention, their success rates haven't been very good. They've been pretty dismal, in fact. I think to date there's been, 177,000 permanent loan modifications. And keep in mind, when loan mods were first introduced, at least under the federal program, HAMP, they wanted to help about 3 to 4 million homeowners. Well, we're over a year into the program now, and we're at 177,000. So
That's part of the misinformation that's out there. The numbers are really skewed. When we say 177, we're talking about those that have been actually converted to permanent loan modifications. Those that have been put into trial loan modifications and then either failed for one of many reasons, and it very well could have been the homeowner's fault. They may have stopped making payments or missed a payment, which would have disqualified them from the program. But more importantly, a lot of these folks have been unfairly booted from the trial period that they were actually placed in and told that they were in a loan modification, implying a permanent situation, which in fact it certainly is not.
And that's absolutely right. I mean, just misinformation, misguided. A lot of people get so excited when they're talking with a negotiator at the bank and they say, hey, guess what? You're approved for a loan modification. Well, that's a temporary loan modification. It's generally anywhere from 3 to 6 months. And then what people discover is at the end of that time period, they're booted out of the program. That's actually what happened with me. I had 2 different restructures on our loan, or loan mods, 2 different programs. And then we found out that we didn't qualify after making 6 months worth of negotiated payments and just added a whole lot of salt to the wound. And I know that's happened to a lot of people out there. I think to date, the longest loan mod out there is about 10 months. So that's 10 months of really not knowing and then having that all come down to the fact that you're going to be forced out of your home anyway. So loan mods really aren't that successful. I'm not a huge fan of them, even though I will do loan mods for some clients, certain situations. I'm not a huge fan of them. Are you, Nick?
No, I'm not, and particularly under the guidelines currently put forth under HAMP. Essentially, you are signing away you're giving the lender the opportunity to disqualify you for any reason they deem fit to do so, and immediately, without interruption, sell your property. That is part of the language that you'll find in the agreement, in the loan modification agreement under HAMP. So there's a lot of good reasons to be very careful as you proceed forward with a loan modification, to ask a lot of questions and to be sure you really understand what it is you're doing and who you're working with.
I was just reading an article the other day, and it talked about a lady who was booted out of her loan modification process because she made her payment early. Exactly. I don't know if you read that article or if I passed it along to you. If you guys want that article, feel free to email us at info@theshortsaleminute.com. Again, that's info@theshortsaleminute.com, and I'll get that article to you. But what happened is the agreement stated that she had to make the payment on the 1st of the month. Well, I believe this was December, and with the holidays, with New Year's coming up, she wanted to make the payment early so there wouldn't be any confusion and the bank wouldn't accept, or the bank wouldn't get the payment after the 1st of the month, being January 1, and she just wasn't sure if they were working. So she paid it on December 25th or something like that, and she found out she was actually booted out of the program because she made the payment early. So there's just a whole lot of confusion and a whole lot of noise at these banks also. They really don't know what they're doing, and I mean, it's a fact. They really don't know what they're doing internally. The left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing internally at the banks.
And for those of you who have attempted to do your own loan mods, and I'm sure there's many of you who have tried that, you understand how hard it is to, first of all, get the right person on the phone. The first line of defense at the banks is a very low-level employee who's basically customer service. And the next person in line may have a little higher pay grade, but certainly isn't any smarter than the first person you spoke to. And it takes a lot of work, a lot of time, and a lot of patience to work through the chain of command in order to talk to the right people at the bank to get the loan mod done. They're going to ask you for, by the way, this is another good point, they're going to ask you for a ton of information, and you need to know that most of it is not required. They are a collector. They are collecting a debt, and any information that you give them, they're going to use in order to collect that debt. So you need to be very careful what you give them early on. It's like trying to be your own attorney and then going to see the lawyer after you've given a deposition of some sort. You know, that's the problem. You got to be very careful up front. And you know, just to be clear about that, look, here are the four things that the bank cares about. Four things and four things only. They care about the value of your home, the offer, if you're in a short sale, what the offer is, what they net on the first, what they net on the second. That's it. Any other information they ask you for is an attempt to collect a debt. Things like a hardship letter will be required. Yes, they're going to want to see bank statements at some point. Personally, I would not give them 1040s. I would not give them my 2-year tax returns. And I certainly wouldn't give them bank statements other than in my primary account. If you have other bank statements, I certainly wouldn't show them 401ks. I wouldn't give them that information.
And Nick's absolutely right there. It's not that we're trying to hide things from the bank, but over-disclosure is huge. And when you over-disclose to these banks, it's not like you can take that back. For example, the reason why you said don't send in the 1040s is there's information on there that they don't need to know. If you have some rental properties, if you're getting some dividends from stocks or bonds, they don't need to know where your income's coming from. But when you submit your tax returns, if you're not careful, they'll know that information and they'll see the entire financial picture. If absolutely they won't move forward without those 1040s, first 2 pages only. First 2 pages only on the 1040s. That's all they need.
Yep, absolutely right. So the point I guess Ryan and I are making is this, is that you really need advocates on your side, whether it's a loan modification or a short sale or however you're going to move forward through this loss mitigation process. You need people who have had experience, who understand the process, who have the right contacts at these lenders, who are advocates for you and not the lender. So that, I guess, is the point we're making. You need us on your side. That's what we're saying.
So segment number 2 is just about wrapped up. We got kind of off task there talking about loan modifications, but that's kind of what this video is. It's education. If you want more information about loan modifications and certain statistics or articles, feel free to email us again at info@theshortsaleminute.com. We'll get that over to you. And don't forget to visit the website, www.theshortsaleminute.com. That's going to wrap us up for the day. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.